So, hi everyone. I'm making what every Warhammer YouTuber has ever done, and that is do a cheeky tier list. Now, this is for all the announcements that they made yesterday in the summer stream. So I thought I'd give my opinions on what I like and what I don't like on what they've released. So, well, we're going to start off with the two starter sets. So you have the actual starter set, then the introductory set. So I like the starter set for this edition. I actually think it's pretty decent. Also, the introductory set. The introductory set is actually as long as it's under around £50, it'll be good because you get your marines, your terrain, and a game board, some dice, stuff like that. And the main starter set also comes with terrain, 2 combat patrols, stuff like that. Which I think if you're getting started in 40k, you really want to be immersed in the actual game. So having the terrain and models already there and your rules is a pretty fair thing, as long as it's not too much. So obviously next there's the two. I think they're like the starter boxes now. I don't know whether these are replacements for combat patrols or not, or they're just one-off things. So I put the Orcs above the Space Marine one, mainly for the fact of I just feel like if you're buying a box, you want loads of units. Well, not loads of models, because you get 11 paints and the models. So the Space Marine one is actually really nice. They're just not my taste. I do like Space Marines, but if I was to buy out of the two boxes, I would buy the Orcs, mainly because they both come with vehicles. I imagine they'll be fairly priced. That depends on how GW are. So then scenery as well. So, or your terrain. So this is where. So there's the boxes. Now I'm putting them in C tier. The reason why they're in C tier is the price, and the reason for that is because it's terrain. Games Workshop they're always really expensive with the terrain, and there being 3 boxes to have a full game table of terrain could go very many ways. I don't know how expensive they'll be, but they'll definitely be expensive. But I have looked at them on the community, and they do look nice. They are nice kits, especially the ruins. But they're more in C dead middle because I don't know the price, but if it's really high, it's going to be terrible because you're buying this box and whatever, so forth. But if it's not that bad of a price, it would go, in my opinion, it'd go up to A. If each box is £50, that's probably a fair price. Then the pre-painted terrain, I don't want to get into it, but I'm not a huge fan of it, mainly as someone who actually builds their own terrain. I don't agree with the whole it's already pre-painted. I don't understand why you'd buy the terrain if you're not actually doing the fun part of terrain and just it's already there, because it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gonna go buy a box of terrain just to have it already painted. Yeah, sure, there is a benefit to you can play your game instantly out of the box, and yeah, you'll spend hours painting your miniatures. But also, you can paint terrain pretty quickly using contrast paints and dry brushing, stuff like that. You can easily get really good results with an airbrush as well. So then there's the Orc units. Now, I'm putting this guy. this is the first S tier. And I've got a good reason why, but I'll come to that after, just to build up some anticipation. So, the Orc Truck, I'm putting it in B, mainly because it's a nice kit. It is a really nice kit, but there's a huge but. In my opinion, it does not fit the Orc theme. Well, not 90% of them, apart from Speed Freaks. I feel like it's too speed freaky than like the main other ones, like Snakebites and stuff, because I wouldn't really, as much, obviously Snakebites is a terrible example, but it just doesn't feel like it's meant for the other clans of Orcs. It just feels like it's very specifically been designed with Speed Freaks in mind, which is, it's a nice model, don't get me wrong, but also the price as well could fluctuate because of it being new. Now, the Orc mech is so well sculpted in my opinion. It is exactly what you'd imagine for an Orc that builds things. He's got a little crane on his back. He's got all the cloth. He looks like he actually is meant to be what he's kind of described in. Like, obviously there's older mechs, but I feel like this one kind of shows it a bit more of a mech than kind of just someone who's just an Orc that's got a bunch of scraps on them, which technically is what a mech is. But so an actual good character that fits with the theme of scrap building things. So then there's the kill team for Aeldari, so there's 2 variants to each one, and in my opinion, pretty much all of these models. So the ones with the shining spears, in my opinion, belong in A tier. I really like them, including this guy with the sniper rifle. But these other ones, in my opinion, are so nicely sculpted. The Roebuck and the little guys, I think the little guys get to go in B. The Roebuck and stuff. The Roebuck comes in the box, but it's more of like, I just wanted to include it because it does come up in there. But I'm just putting that in C because it is just a Roebuck with scenarios in. And the little raptors, I like the sculpts. They're really nicely sculpted. It's more like I don't really want to put them high up because they are very much side characters. And I don't agree with them actually including it. I feel like they could have done maybe another foot, like 2 smaller Aeldari units just within. So you have more than 5 models, but well, you still have 5 models, but they'd be more looking as soldiery. But it does remind. It is obviously meant to be a bit like the box, the Red Terror box, where it's these guys versus a bunch of Orcs. But that is all. So obviously I'll probably keep doing these every once in a while. If there's a thing that interests me, I'll get that in there. But obviously, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And most of all, leave your comments below about how you feel about these rankings and if what you would change or if you completely agree. So, have a wonderful day and see you later.